Hey everybody, Alex from SCADA here. In this video we will take our station template mockup that we created in the Vision Mockups video, and we will implement all of the functionality here. So first we will need to display our station number as a header. So we'll go to our designer. We'll select the label that we created for that. Call it label header. And to change the text on that, we can simply update our text property binding by clicking the binding icon. And since we want to add text to a template parameter, we'll create an expression binding. We'll enter a station with a space for our text, and we will select our brew station parameter here and hit OK and hit OK. And if we click our overall template, we'll see our brew station is currently set to 0. We can change that to 1, and we see our header update here. Next, we can go to our cold brew type text field, rename that to text brew type, and we can update this to a text binding. In this case, we will use an indirect tag path. So we can first navigate to our station 1 brew type tag. Then, as with all indirect bindings, we can put curly braces with a variable in there. And I guess in Vision, in perspective, you can put whatever you want. In Vision, that has to be a number. So we will put a brew station for our property path and click bidirectional. And now we'll go to Reset Panels, Station 1. Brew type is currently 0. We're not in read-write mode. Go to read-write mode with the play button and enter a new value, and that comes across. Now for our water, we'll go out of play mode. For our water temp, we will go to that label, give it a user-friendly name, and we will go change our text binding to an expression. And we will then concatenate that to our tag value, water temp. And to make this dynamic, as we have seen in other videos, we will wrap this with a tag function and make our tag path a string. And then we will replace the dynamic portion, in this case the number of our station, with our brew station parameter. And let's assume this is in degrees Fahrenheit. We can add the units to the end there and hit OK. And as we've seen in other videos, this gives us a lot of decimal places, so we can wrap this entire tag function in a round function and 2 decimal places and hit OK. That looks good to go there. So that gives us our cold brew type and the current water temperature. Then a way to display and control the station's status, which we have with our multi-state button. So for this, we want to bind our control value bidirectionally to our status tag, and then we'll bind our indicator value to our control value, and then we'll update what this is showing us in terms of terminology here. So let's go to our control value property edit our binding, we want this to be an indirect tag so that it's dynamic. Station 1 status. Then the portion we want dynamic, we'll wrap with curly braces and put a 1 in there. Change to brew station and check bidirectional. So now we hit OK. We're currently showing a value of 0. Change that to, and we need to bind our indicator value. So we'll edit our indicator value binding and just bind that to the multi-state buttons control value. And while we're here, we can rename this to button status. Now we see with our status as 1, auto is selected, and 2, hand is selected, and 0 is off. We also need this to be updated for our purposes, so we can right-click and go to Customizers, Multi-State Button Customizer. We have a state of 0, 1, and 2, which if we go up to Gateway and Project, we'll see we want 0 is off, 1 is brew, and 2 is clean. So let's select state 0. We can reorder these just so they make sense. 0 is off, red is fine for that. 1 is brew, green is fine for that. And we'll update the selected and unselected styles just so the text up there matches. And we will update 2 to say clean, and yellow is fine for that, so we can hit OK. Now we can either click the button and see our status change, or if the status was changing in the PLC, we can update the tag here. And the button gives us the indication of our status. And if we were to also go out of play mode and change our brew station property to 2, which currently has a status of 0, we see that that goes to off and our temperature lines up, so we know our brew station parameter is working properly. Next, we need a text display of our status. So we will go to our label, rename that something user-friendly. Then we can go to our text binding. For this, we'll use an expression binding. And to keep it simple, let's do a switch statement. We could also do if-then statements, but that will get a little complicated syntax-wise, having multiple values. So we will do a switch. We could also do a lookup. That's a little bit more complicated than a switch. So we'll select switch. And we want to do our switch value. So let's do, first we'll grab our tag path. Station 1 status. Then we will wrap this in a tag function. And make this dynamic with our brew station property from the template. Then we want to do our values, so we'll do 0, 1, 2. And we'll just look at our format here. Yeah, so we have value, our cases, and then our returns with a default at the end. So we will do off, brew, clean, and we'll put in error in case somehow we get a value of 3 in there. And this will give us that text, but we also want to put status before that so we know what we're looking at. So we can hit OK. And we see our status shows clean. And again, the button probably suffices to give us a text display, but just for being thorough, we will use the label there. And if we go back to station 1, we see a value of 1 is brew. A value of 0 is off. And if we put in a value of 3, that would give us an error and nothing would be shown on the button because we don't have a state of 3 on there for that. So we can change that back to 0 and we're good to go there. Finally, we want to change our high and low set points on the screen. So we can go to our numeric entry field, rename this to high set point. And let's see what data type this is. Let's open up our tag. This is a double. So we want to select double for our number type and bind to our value double property. Indirect tag to make it dynamic. Grab our high set point tag path. Then we will put in a 1 in curly braces here to make it dynamic with our brew station. And since we want to enter this, we'll select bidirectional. And we can then, just to make life a little bit easier, we can do copy binding on our value double. We can select our low set point. And we'll rename that. We will select double for our type, select our property, right click and paste binding. And now we can simply change our high to low here. And we see a value of 50. So if we go to play mode, let's say we want a value of 80 for our high set point and 60 for our low. And we'll see now our high and our low set point tags on station 1 match our status there. And if we go back to our station template, station number as a header, we have that. Our cold brew type, we have a text field, a label for water temperature, a multi-state button for station status control, a text equivalent with a label with their switch statement, and we have an image. And then to meet the requirements of the overview window, we also added the high and low set points to our template, even though those were not required here. But that will make our life a little bit easier to meet the overview requirements window. So next we'll dive into the overview window. Thank you for watching.